Namaste and welcome back to today's episode of Mahabharata Matters. In the previous episode, Virata Parva had ended with the wedding of Abhimanyu. Just before the wedding, Duryodhana had sent a messenger to Yudhishthira. The messenger said that Duryodhana had identified Arjuna in the battlefield. Hence, their exile was broken, the Ajñātavāsa was not successful, and they should go back to the forest for another 12 years. Yudhishthira had laughed. He sent a message back saying that let our grandfather Bhishma say the same. If he concurs with you, then we shall talk. Right now, just wait for me to send a messenger, very shortly he had said. Now begins Udyoga Parva. The fifth Parva is called Udyoga Parva because Udyoga itself means work, effort, exertion, etc. In this Parva, both Pandavas and Kauravas put in all their effort possible to get what they wanted. Hence, the Parva is aptly named as Udyoga Parva. After the wedding, all the kings and friends of Yudhishthira had assembled in Upaplavya. They were discussing the next course of action. At the time, Krishna got up and started explaining the circumstances under which they had assembled there. He narrated the incidents in the Dyuta Sabha. He also recollected how after a second round of gambling, they had to go for 12 years of Vanavasa and 1 year of Ajñātavāsa. The Pandavas had successfully completed all the terms and conditions set forth at the time of gambling. Now it was time to claim what was rightfully theirs. Krishna had put forth his thoughts as facts rather than judging anyone. But currently, Duryodhana's intentions were a little hazy. No one knew what he intended to do. So, Krishna suggested that they should send an able messenger who would firmly communicate that Yudhishthira asks for his kingdom back. Without knowing his true intentions, they could not take any action against Duryodhana yet. He also asked if anybody thought differently. At that time, Balarama started speaking. To everyone's surprise, he said Yudhishthira had been foolish to gamble away everything that he owned. He added that Yudhishthira was extremely foolish to have challenged Shakuni to play in place of Duryodhana. Due to his weakness, he had gambled everything away and lost their kingdom and gone to the forest, when the truth was far from what he was speaking. When the Pandavas had met Balarama in Prabhasa, he spoke in a different tone. Today was a different story. It was very evident that Balarama had met with his dear student Duryodhana, and Duryodhana had chosen to narrate the story of the Dyuta Sabha in his own way. He had said that Yudhishthira was at fault. Clearly, naive Balarama had fallen for Duryodhana's story. Duryodhana was his dear student and he had taken advantage of that, and Balarama had succumbed to his stories. Balarama added that the messenger should be very gentle and speak nicely to Duryodhana. Otherwise, he would get angry or upset, and we should not upset him, he had added. Hearing this, Krishna and Balarama's cousin Satyaki was extremely enraged. He challenged Balarama for what he had said just now. He said, Duryodhana is not a person who would listen. Let's just wage a war and get whatever is rightfully Yudhishthira's. There is no need to console or appease Duryodhana, he added. Most of the kings assembled there agreed with Satyaki. Drupada, the father-in-law of the Pandavas, spoke at that time. He said, before taking any action, let us first send a messenger. The messenger should firmly communicate to Duryodhana that Yudhishthira should be given what belongs to him. If he doesn't listen, then we shall take the next course of action, he said. He also said that he would send his Kulaguru to talk to Duryodhana. He was a very learned man and he would communicate the message in the right tone to Duryodhana, he said. He also said that Yudhishthira should not be naive. He should not expect Duryodhana to accept their message. So, just in case a war would break out, he suggested to Yudhishthira to send out messages to all his kings who were friends, asking them for support in case the war became evident. Krishna agreed with Drupada. He concurred that they should send the Kulaguru of Drupada to Hastināpura, taking a message from Yudhishthira. All the kings started to return to their kingdoms, promising Yudhishthira that they would come back with their troops the moment they heard from him. So, what are our takeaways from this story? Knowing how much and who to believe is an essential skill. Balarama had been naive and had allowed himself to succumb to the stories of Duryodhana. Instead of seeing the truth, he was willing to believe whatever he had said. It is said there are always three sides to a story: yours, mine, and the truth. Why is that? Because how we see an incident depends on the bias or the color we have in our eyes. So it is better to be objective than be colored by likes and dislikes on our side. Being objective is the best way to do dharma. On the other hand, Krishna, Satyaki, Drupada and others had seen both Duryodhana and Yudhishthira for what they were. Hence, they were able to see objectively and not be biased towards one or the other. That was the best way to do dharma. With these thoughts, we come to the end of today's episode. Remember, in this series, we are discussing matters of Mahabharata because even today, Mahabharata matters. Hari Om.